practice it, self-check, what we're going to do is we are given multiple different arrays, but let's look at this specifically and just solve for one of them because we can solve for the rest of them that way. We want to indicate what the array's contents would be after the method is called and pass that array as its parameter. So of course this is our method, and then we have our arrays down here. So running through this, it's public static void, so we're not returning anything. We do have a parameter in here. We take a parameter of integer and it's a numbers array. We have a for loop. Starting at I is equal to 0. Starting at I is equal to 0. We're going to run this as long as I is less than the nums.length, so our array length minus 1. And let me just increment I every single time. We have an if statement where we can compare the index of, or the element at the index of the array at I to I plus 1. So if we go through this, we're comparing like index 1 or index 0 to index 1, right? Because we're just adding 1. Then we would compare index 1 to index 2, right? And if the element at on this side, if the element on this side is greater than the element on this side, we're going to be inside of our if statement, and we are just going to increment the element at this specific index, which is I plus 1. So if we run through this, for the first one, we see our length is just equal to 1. And well, that means we're not going to be in here because I is equal to 0, and then we'll have 1 minus 1, and 0 is not less than 0. So for this, we're just going to have an 8. Now for this one, we can see our element at index 0 is greater than the element at index 1. And since this is the case, we are going to increment the element at index 1. So we're going to have 14, and we are going to have 8. We can continue on doing this, looking at this one. 7 is greater than 1, so we'll have 7 and 2. 2 is not greater than 3, so we're not incrementing this one. 3 is greater than 2, so we'll increment this one. 3 is greater than 0, so we'll increment this one, give us 1. And 1 is not greater than 4, so we'll just have a 4 here. And we're going to continue on, so 10 is greater than 8, so we'll have 10, and we'll increment this to be 9. 9 is not greater than 9, so this is just left as 9. And then we have 6, right, because 9 is greater than 5, so we increment this at 6. 6 is greater than 5, so this is 6. With that same logic, we'll have 12, 12, 11, 11, 9, and lastly 8. So those are going to be our values. That's how we would look at this method. That's how it would work. Pressing submit, we pass 5 out of 5 tests, and that is all for our self-checked exercise.